that it is those contradictions that I'm really interested in, between sort of luxury and leisure, and what and how they do mask deeper sort of almost discomfort with us, or sort of a sense of something that we might not really understand. And painting lets me explore all of that without sort of resolving it as much. Yeah, okay, so I mean, when I was thinking about it, my main inspiration actually comes from within the work itself. So I'm really drawn to trying to problem solve, and I think that's the whole thing that kind of keeps me driven. And maybe from when I was like little and looking at the paintings at the house, it was kind of less to do with maybe what they were about, and more to do with how they were made, and how did that artist or that person achieve that feel in that work. I was really drawn to that, and so I kind of was less interested in what they were about, and actually just how they were made. And then I started copying them when I was little or younger at home, and then that's really relevant still to me to this day in the studio. So it's like I kind of tackle each work as a series of problems, and then I try and just sort of maintain that tension in a work. It's always about then sort of doubting something, and then being afraid to delve further, but then pushing through that, but all the time trying to actually understand how to paint it, how to solve this problem of trying to make this image interesting.
So you grew up in a house with a paintings around? Or?
Yeah, they were, yes. So there was a lot of art, but it was just, like, the house did seem different than other people's, because Dad was interested in art and in decoration. None of them were important works, and they were all pretty decorative works of Europe and Poland and Eastern Europe. So it was kind of, they were evocative to me because they were completely not of this place. So it just seemed like this mysterious other place that they kept talking about that I knew very little about. And they were of like deers in mountains, and and I've revisited some of that in my work, and how foreign it is for me to paint mountainous terrain, yet that is sort of in my DNA. It's where I'm from, I suppose. Yeah, that series of works more specifically is Palm Springs and that sort of landscape. And I'm drawn to that area because a lot of my work is actually about, that whole series of works is about sort of luxury and, and getting out of everydayness, and just what that kind of hides beneath that whole, the aesthetics of status and holidays and all of this stuff that's sold to, such a huge proportion of us. And Palm Springs was by design made to be perfect because all of the architecture is the same, the landscape is the same, and it's amazing, we all love it. But it just, that whole concept of what is actually fake and what is actually real is interesting to me. I mean, I have done a lot of work of India too. There's that question that you jotted down about how do I consider painting for a diverse audience, which I found interesting. I kind of, I kind of really go about it the other way. I mean, I kind of really focus on doing strong works that are to do with my contemporary life and my culture, but I kind of feel as the work is strong enough, it will find an audience among other people as well. And in the same way that, you know, the thing that I was talking about with Palm Springs in India, it's kind of, it's not dissimilar. You know, I've painted these places where we just travel and go to try and experience something which is just so manufactured and so far away from what was genuinely happening there.
Images in the same space. Yeah. So
Well, and those contradictions are fascinating and fucked, and I'm really aware of how I'm contributing to, like, I'm complicit in that by being part of, by having work that's, you know, collectible by, you know, my audience is the people that kind of engage with it, that's important to me, and my audience is also the people that buy my work, which is important to me, but they don't always overlap. That's an awkward contradiction that happens in our lives too, and painting about, you know, this luxury and these trips and stuff. I'm very aware of painting that and trying to make a statement about how real that is, but also being complicit in creating something for exactly that market. But I think really I'm not trying to solve anything, I'm just trying to engage with it and make work that makes me kind of think or reflect a bit about it. I don't know how to solve it. I'm just trying to solve how to paint. I mean, I don't often take works back out of frames once I think they're done, because I really try and let them, I try and learn something from them and let them, but sometimes it's like, it is this constant argument, dialogue. It's just a way of really trying to not having a clear idea of what you want, but actually trying to loosen up and let this develop in a certain way. But then also trying to keep the tension, and then I don't really, you sort of just know. And then a section will start annoying me, so I want to work back into it, but then very often it's a different section that is the problem. But this work is about what we were talking about in terms of kind of moving into, like, never having enough, and always kind of that aesthetic of more and more. I'm so drawn to just as images appear, and like the difference sometimes between what I'm imagining something might end up being and what actually happens. And that's so exciting. I mean, it can be harrowing sometimes when it's completely off what you intended, and you kind of think, well, do I actually have, like, what is my job here? Do I turn this back around to what my intention was, or do I just let this evolve? But like, I've painted for over 2 decades now full time, and it's just never anything that will bore me, just this trying to understand how to make an image and then how to relate to what has actually appeared, and how to classify it, how to be kind to it, how to let it be, but how to actually attack it and argue with it. I mean, it is such a full-on relationship, and then to kind of give it space and sometimes really nice to look back over older work that you have forgotten that struggle that you've had, and it sits so differently when there's distance. I think I'm getting better at actually just not worrying as much for validation with work. So I think I'm in a much better space now after years to just paint what I think. I mean, I've painted for so long now that I kind of know within myself if it's something that's becoming interesting to me. So to not really feel as though I need that validation as much as a younger artist does, to try and find their place and really try and understand whether people are responding to their work. Kind of don't really care as much about that now, which is pretty free. I just am in the studio, so it's not about necessarily painting every day, but just sort of being present with the work and cleaning brushes or tidying up, but just always sort of staring at them or having them in the back of your mind. That conversation still continues with the work then. It's not always to do with a brush. And a lot of my work is just staring at it and then figuring out that kind of, especially with this sort of work where it's not sort of too detailed,